Hi, this is Emma from Catchy English. Today I want to share something powerful with you. Nothing changes if nothing changes. At first, this might sound simple, but it carries a deep meaning. Many English learners feel stuck. They study for months, sometimes for years, but they don't see progress. Why? Because they keep doing the same things over and over again. Think about it. If you always use the same study method, the same routine, and the same habits, how can you expect a new result? It's like walking in circles. You move, but you don't go forward. For example, maybe you always read grammar books, but you never practice speaking. Or maybe you watch English videos, but you don't repeat the words out loud. You want to speak fluently, but your daily actions don't match your goal. That's why you feel stuck. This is where the quote becomes powerful. Nothing changes if nothing changes. If you want to speak English confidently, you must change your approach. You don't need to throw away all your old habits, but you do need to add something new. Let's imagine two learners. One learner studies vocabulary by writing lists, but never uses the words in conversation. The second learner also writes vocabulary, but then practices making sentences and saying them aloud. Who will improve faster? Of course, the second learner. Why? Because they made a small change. Change does not have to be big. You don't need to study for 10 hours a day. You just need to take one small step outside your comfort zone. Maybe today you decide to speak one English sentence to yourself in the mirror. Tomorrow you might record your voice for 1 minute. The next day you could send a short English message to a friend. Step by step, these small changes add up. And soon you'll notice something amazing. Your English is no longer stuck. Your confidence starts to grow. You begin to enjoy learning instead of feeling frustrated. All because you decided to change something, even just a little. So remember, if you feel like your English isn't improving, ask yourself, what am I doing the same way every day? Then try something new. Even a tiny change can open a big door. Sometimes we wait for motivation before we change. We think I'll practice speaking when I feel ready, or I'll join a class when I have more confidence. But the truth is, motivation comes after action, not before. Imagine you are standing at the bottom of a staircase. You want to reach the top, but you just keep looking at it. Nothing happens until you take the first step. That first step may feel uncomfortable, but once you move, the next step feels easier. The same happens with English. If you keep waiting until you feel ready, you will stay at the same level forever. Instead, start small. Do something today, even if you don't feel 100% confident. For example, maybe you're afraid to speak English because you don't want to make mistakes. But here's a secret. Mistakes are proof that you are learning. Every mistake is like a teacher. If you never make mistakes, it means you are not trying anything new. Think about a child learning to walk. They fall many times before they can walk smoothly. But do they stop? No. They keep trying, and little by little they improve. You must treat English the same way. Falling is not failure, it's progress. Another common problem is perfectionism. Many learners want their English to be perfect before they speak. But perfection will never come first. Fluency comes from practice, not from waiting. So instead of thinking, I must speak perfectly, think I must practice speaking today. Change is not about huge leaps. It's about small, consistent steps. Reading one page in English, speaking one sentence aloud, or learning one new phrase every day may seem small. But if you repeat these actions daily after 1 month, you'll see clear progress. Remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. If you change even a little, your English will change too. One of the biggest challenges in learning English is fear. Fear of speaking. Fear of sounding strange. Fear of being judged. This fear is natural, but if you let it control you, it will stop your growth. Think about this when you speak in your own language. You don't think about every single word. You just speak. But in English, many learners freeze because they want every word to be correct. This slows you down and makes you nervous. Instead of aiming for perfect grammar, aim for communication. Your goal is to share your message, not to sound like a dictionary. Even native speakers make grammar mistakes sometimes, but people still understand them. Imagine you are in a shop and you want to buy bread. You don't need a perfect sentence like, "Excuse me, could you kindly tell me where I might find the freshly baked bread?" You can simply say, "Where is bread?" and people will understand. Of course, with practice, you will improve and make longer sentences. But at the beginning, your focus should be on speaking, not on perfection. Another way to reduce fear is to practice in safe environments. Talk to yourself in English when you are alone. Describe what you see, what you feel, or what you are doing. For example, say I'm cooking rice. The water is boiling. This may feel strange at first, but it trains your brain to think in English. Also, practice shadowing. Listen to a short English audio pause and repeat exactly what you hear. Don't worry if your pronunciation is not perfect. The goal is to train your mouth and ears to work together. Over time, your fluency will increase and your fear will decrease. Fear only disappears when you face it. Every time you speak, even if you feel nervous, you are training your courage. Step by step, you will notice that speaking becomes easier and fear becomes smaller. Now let's talk about the power of habits in your English journey. Many learners believe that studying for a long time once a week is enough. But the truth is, small daily practice is much more effective than big study sessions once in a while. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't brush for 2 hours on Sunday and then forget the rest of the week. You brush a little bit every day, and that keeps your teeth clean. The same is true with English. Small daily habits build strong skills over time. For example, instead of saying, "I will study English for 3 hours every Saturday," try saying, "I will listen to English for 10 minutes every day." Or, "I will learn 3 new words every morning." These small actions are easy to do, and they add up to big progress. A good habit to build is reading in English every day. You don't need to read a whole book. You can read short articles, news, or even social media posts in English. The key is consistency. Reading will naturally give you more vocabulary, better grammar understanding, and more ideas to use when you speak. Another habit is listening. Choose something you enjoy, like a podcast music or YouTube videos in English. Even if you don't understand everything, your brain is training. Little by little, you will start to catch more words, then phrases, and finally full sentences. Speaking habits are also important. If you don't have someone to talk to yourself. Repeat what you hear or describe your day out loud. You can even record your voice and listen back to notice your mistakes. At first, you may feel uncomfortable hearing your own voice, but this is one of the fastest ways to improve. Remember, motivation can start your journey, but habits keep you moving forward. If you depend only on motivation, you will stop when you feel tired or busy. But if you create strong habits, you will keep going even on difficult days. And this is how real progress happens. Now let's focus on one of the biggest problems English learners face: fear of mistakes. Many learners are afraid to speak because they worry about grammar, pronunciation, or using the wrong words. But let me tell you something very important. Mistakes are not your enemy. Mistakes are your teacher. Think about how you learned your first language. As a child, you made hundreds of mistakes every day. You said words incorrectly, you used the wrong grammar, you misunderstood people. But you didn't stop speaking because of mistakes. You kept talking, and over time, you became fluent. It's the same with English. If you never make mistakes, it means you are not pushing yourself enough. You're staying in your comfort zone. But if you speak and sometimes get things wrong, that means you're learning. Every mistake shows you what to improve next. Here's a mindset shift. Instead of saying, "I made a mistake," say, "I discovered something I can learn." This small change will help you see mistakes as progress, not failure. For example, imagine you say, "He go to school yesterday." Someone corrects you, "He went to school yesterday." Now you have learned the past tense. If you never spoke, you would never discover that mistake. So mistakes give you the chance to grow. Another common fear is that people will judge you for your English. But most people are kind. They appreciate your effort to speak another language. In fact, many native speakers don't care if your grammar is perfect. They just want to understand your message. Think of it this way: communication is not about perfection, it's about connection. Even if your English is not perfect, if you can share your thoughts, feelings, and ideas, you are already successful. So the next time you feel afraid of mistakes, remember this: mistakes are proof that you are trying, and trying is the only path to fluency. Now let's talk about the most powerful secret to becoming fluent in English: consistency. Many learners think they need to study for hours every day. But the truth is, it's not about how long you study, it's about how often you practice. Imagine you water a plant once a month with a big bucket. The plant will not grow well. But if you give it a little water every day, it becomes strong and healthy. Learning English is the same. 10 minutes every day is better than 2 hours once a week. Consistency creates habits, and habits shape your skills. If you make English part of your daily life, it will become natural. You don't need to force yourself. It will simply be part of who you are. Here are some simple ways to stay consistent. Listen to English podcasts while walking or cooking. Write a short diary in English every night. Practice speaking to yourself about your day. Read one article or a few pages of a book each morning. These small daily actions are more powerful than waiting for a perfect time to study. Remember, small steps every day lead to big results over time. So let's review everything we talked about. To speak English confidently, you need to believe in yourself. Focus on communication, not perfection. Practice speaking out loud. Use real-life input, embrace mistakes, and stay consistent. If you do these things, your English will improve faster than you imagine. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Every word you speak, every mistake you make, every small step you take brings you closer to fluency. So don't wait. Start today. Speak, practice, and enjoy the journey.